Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much again for making the time to attend this little presentation that I'm going to be putting together. Today, I'm going to talk about emotional intelligence as it relates to leadership. As we all know, this is very impactful, very important in what we do, whether it's working for government or you're having your own business. Leadership impacts us, in our lives today. So the question I want to ask everyone is, have you ever heard about emotional intelligence? Does anyone know anything about emotional intelligence?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me give you the concrete definition. Emotional intelligence is the ability to manage your own emotions while understanding the emotions of others as well. So I have a question. What qualities do you believe make a great leader? Can anyone tell me?
Motivation.
Thank you. Anyone?
Inspire others.
Inspire others. Thank you.
Ability to listen.
Wonderful.
Self-awareness.
Thank you. And one thing we found is that leaders with high emotional intelligence make better relationships, they resolve conflicts better, and they foster positive work environments as well. Now, there are 5 areas of emotional intelligence that I want to talk about. The first one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is recognizing your emotions while understanding the emotions of others as well. The second one is self-regulation. That's managing emotions effectively. Number 3, motivation. Achieving goals despite challenges. Number 4, empathy. Understanding others' emotions. And number 5, social skills. Managing relationships effectively. Now, which of these components, might I ask, do you find most challenging, in your walks of life? Personally or professionally?
It's self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness is the most important one because a lot of times when you're in these positions as like for instance in government, you're so stressed out, and then sometimes you don't know you're stressed out, and you refuse to even say that you're stressed out. And you come to work and you're bringing all the baggage with you, and then sometimes your mind is telling you what you need to be doing, which is like you might want to commit suicide or something. And but you don't want to talk to anybody about it, so it just leaves you in a little dark space. And so, you just have to know how to, address it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the key point that I want to add is that self-aware leaders make better decisions and understand the impact on others as well. Now, simple question I want to ask again to some of the other audience here. What practical steps do you think one should take in accomplishing self-awareness? Anyone?
I think like being aware that they have an issue, a problem with something, and how they're going to address it. Then are they going to go get help, or what do they want to do about it? Rather than just sit there and try to make decisions, and then while you're making decisions, you're making the wrong decisions because of the stress that you're under.
Thank you so much for that, Dolores.
Being able to have a healthy balance. Just sometimes, as she said, being self-aware, it's important to understand what's going on with your health and your physical body. You have to be mindful of how you react to others, and if you're stressed out and your body is not feeling the best, you may come off a little kind of hard,
Making wrong decisions.
Yes.
Make the wrong decision.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Kimberly. I like the interaction that's going on. And I want to jump into the second topic now of self-regulation. Okay? A key point to that is leaders who self-regulate, they model stability and the calmness of addressing stressful situations. And that's that very impactful part of self-regulation. So the question I want to ask you is, how do you guys stay calm under pressure? Anyone?
Taking your time out. 5-second breather, 5-minute breather, 10-minute breather, whatever you need to regulate yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Pray. I be having to pray.
Okay.
That's how I get a little zone.
Understanding your triggers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that you knowing that you're getting ready to go into a meeting, you should like start the morning off with meditating, something just getting into yourself.
Thank you very much for that. That's a good one. Yes. So the third aspect I want to talk about, or the third topic, is that of motivation. As you know, motivated leaders help to aspire, or inspire rather. They inspire their team. So what are some of the motivational tactics that you have seen in yourselves, or that you found that helps you, to motivate your own team members as well?
Keeping the bigger picture in mind, making sure you're focused on the end goal. So I always encourage people to do a wide lens, go as far as you can, and then work your way back. And on the journey back, enjoy it. Don't skip over the process. Enjoy the process.
Yeah, a lot of it too is before you can motivate somebody, sometimes you have to learn how to motivate yourself.
That's right.
Understanding the why for what you're doing. And I think a lot of times it can become contagious when you're doing that. So a lot of times for me, I have to make sure I stay focused on my why, because I can't convince you to follow me if I can't follow myself. Sometimes we gotta be our own cheerleader instead of depending on other people to give us the motivation that we need.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to celebrate.
Yeah.
Right.
The small
Celebrate the small wins.
That's
The
right.
small
Right.
wins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So the fourth topic I want to talk about now is empathy. A key point to empathy is empathetic leaders, they build trust and they foster that sense of communication, that helps build that trust between you. Have you had any experiences, in your work where you had to exercise empathy?
Yeah, I think for me, that was one of the things about you asked about challenges. For me, empathy is a challenge because I'm very driven, and a lot of times it's hard for me to deal with weakness in people. So a lot of times my empathy comes where I have to understand that everybody's not at the same level that I am in. So I have to meet people where they are and show compassion. Because I'm a very compassionate, patient person by nature, but in business sometimes that's a challenge for me. So I think for me, I've learned to exhibit more empathy by pulling from being compassionate and considerate towards others.
Thank you so much for that.
Good.
I would also say listen actively
Mhm.
to individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can add to that, setting clear boundaries, when you're dealing with, different backgrounds, different people, it's important to understand, empathize with them, but also set boundaries because it is business. So, having those boundaries set and also empathizing them and holding them accountable, but at the same time, understanding people have life going on, people have challenges, people are dealing with different things. So it's important to set those boundaries, but also have empathy.
Thank you very much for that.
That's great.
So the last point I want to bring up is social skills. Now, social skills, leaders with social skills they build strong networks, is what I'm trying to say. That's one. Then secondly, they tend to encourage collaboration, which is very important. So what social skills do you think is most important for a leader?
Being present, making authentic connection with folk that you encounter. It's important to just, when you walk into a room, be aware of the environment and just be able to discern the connections.
Body language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so making those authentic connections and valuing those connections. Sometimes when you make that connection, it may not go anywhere in the beginning, but it can take off later on.
And to add to what Kimberly said, I think interpersonal relationship is very important when it comes to the approach. You know, they say that if you wanna go far, go alone, but if you wanna go far, go with others. So building a connection with team members, because you can't do it alone, no matter how strong, how knowledgeable you are, you need team members, and that personal relationship is very important.
And also to piggyback on Kim again, I think also a big part of social is being consistent. I think a lot of times, especially with the advent of social media and everything is, you can do everything behind a computer. A lot of times we get away from the consistency of building those teams, building that, expanding beyond where we are. So if we want to, you know, create something based off our social, I think a lot of times we have to make sure we stay consistent in who we are and what we're going to do. Because now with everything being driven by analytics, one of the biggest driver of analytics is consistency.
I think, you know, just to kind of add to all of that, have other people in mind. You know, if you're only focused on yourself whenever you go into a room, it's a very selfish approach to being social and, you know, spreading your wings. But if you're thinking about how your connections with these people that you're meeting are going to benefit others, then you're always going to be projecting the uniformity, you know, the collaborative effort with people, and that's what people can feel, you know, from your energy whenever you connect with them.
Thank you very much for that. So now we can all agree about the power of emotional intelligence in leadership. You know, we can't do without it, whether it's government, whether it's in education, or whether it's even in our own walks of life. I got something here that I wanted to use to just bring it all home in concluding, you know, this topic on emotional intelligence for leadership, for great leadership. So I want to thank you, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time again to be here today. I want to close out with this message, and I want you to ponder on it as you leave. See, today we stand at the intersection of leadership and emotional intelligence. And this is a space where the true essence of leadership is forged. Emotional intelligence is more than just a concept. It is the foundation for impactful leadership, sustainable relationships, and meaningful change in companies, organizations, and even governments. And at its core, emotional intelligence equips leaders with the ability to recognize, understand, and manage their own emotions. Now, they can do this while empathizing and influencing others as well. You know, this is not a luxury or a soft skill. It is a necessary part of life. But let me explain why. First, we talked about self-awareness. A leader who understands emotional intelligence triggers any biases that can make decisions rooted in clarity rather than impulse. Imagine a leader facing a high-pressure crisis who chooses reflection over reaction, turning potential chaos into strategic action. This is how self-awareness transforms leadership. Then we talk about self-regulation. Managing emotions effectively, it doesn't mean suppressing them. You know, it means channeling them productively. When challenges arise, a leader who remains calm under pressure fosters trust, steadiness, and then collaboration within their team. They model the resilience we all strive for. Then I talked about motivation. Emotional intelligence ensures leaders remain driven by purpose, not just results. Leaders who connect their daily efforts to a larger vision inspire others to push past obstacles and innovate as well. They will innovate in the face of adversity. Now, they don't just manage people, they move them. And that's key. Now, the fourth one is empathy. Leadership doesn't just, it's not about managing tasks. It's about managing people as well. A leader who truly listens and understands their team's perspectives builds loyalty, trust, and collaboration. Now, this is the glue that holds high-performing teams together. Finally, we talked about social skills. The ability to communicate effectively, resolve conflicts, and foster relationships is the hallmark of an emotionally intelligent leader. Leaders who balance empathy with authority create environments where accountability and support go hand in hand. Thank you. These principles are not just abstract theories, ladies and gentlemen. They are practical tools applicable in boardrooms, classrooms, government offices, and beyond. A CEO who practices emotional intelligence inspires the organization to thrive. A politician who leads with empathy and vision can unite communities. A teacher with an emotional intelligence shapes not just students' intellect, but their character as well. And that's important. Ladies and gentlemen, emotional intelligence is not just a skill reserved for the few. It is a practice that every leader in every space can and should embrace. By mastering these principles, we don't just become better leaders, we create cultures of trust, resilience, and innovation that ripple onwards, transforming teams, organizations, and even nations. And as I close, I want to call to action, which is clear. Lead not just with your mind, but with your heart. Because the world doesn't just need leaders who know what to do. It needs leaders who understand why it matters and who inspire others to believe in the same. And I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.